This is part 0 of Cadence tutorials. First of all, how to access your machine. Whenever you get assigned a machine, you'll get an IP address like this. Most probably you'll get a VNC. So this is your IP address and this is your port. So 23 here. Uh, how do you then log in? You'll get a password as well. That will be mentioned in your email or whatever. So you need this real VNC viewer. You can get it for even your iPad and your Android, etc. Even there it works. And if you're on Linux, there are other apps for this as well. There are other this is the software for this. And once you have that installed, you don't need to log in into this real VNC viewer. Just that whatever IP address you get, you enter here, press enter, continue, and then you enter your password. So this, you're accessing that machine now. So you can see the IP address ibmserver.ith. By the way, all of this is specific to ith. In other systems, in the networks, how to access it may vary slightly, especially things like the file system, etc. would vary a lot. But they should give you idea of how things are usually arranged. So once you have this, this is your desktop for your machine. Uh, you can open a terminal just by right clicking open terminal. How to open Cadence and etc. that I'll discuss in the next video. But few things just about the server I want to finish in this video. That is, first of all, VNC. Give some details about what this VNC is. You can press settings and like few things like this are there, like scaling, etc. So right now my monitor is 1440p, 1440p. That's 2K monitor. VNC, this VNC is made for 1080p monitors. So it would appear like this, otherwise you can do this scaling thing, but then the like text is not clear. This is a minor nitpick, but this is something you'll have to deal with in case you have a VNC. And with one VNC, you can access the machine at multiple instances, but you can only access the same machine. What I mean to say is, let's suppose I'm running some simulation here. I'm using this machine. Someone else also uses this IP address and the password to log into this. They'll be able to see whatever I'm doing here. So it's the same instance, same uh, machine that is that we are accessing. So in case you're working collaboratively on a single design, then this is actually good that you're working on this. You don't need to screen share or you don't need to do Google Meet. Someone else can just use this IP address and your password, and they can see whatever is happening here, and you can communicate over call or something. So that is a lot of times how people collaborate, at least in IDH and in some companies as well. So that can be a good or bad thing about VNCs, that there's just a single instance of this. Additionally, there's different desktops here. So on the first desktop, let's say you have this, and you have like some simulations going on. Second desktop, there's no tabs here. Third desktop, fourth desktop. So you can try to keep things separate. That's the like, reason for this. I believe that about for VNCs, that's about it. Uh, Minor things like changing wallpaper, etc. That's like you can do. And just for reference, the OS being used here is Red Hat. In some machines, it could be Alma Linux. Both are pretty similar. So, and a lot of these machines don't have internet access to them. So there would be Firefox here, but because some of these machines are really old, the processors are very old, so it doesn't have. Let's use this. This machine has it seems, but some of these machines don't. And I've seen that using internet a lot sometimes crashes these machines as well. So take that as you will. Uh, in case you want to transfer data, there are better methods to do this instead of logging into Google Drive and uploading things from here and installing things as well. I'll come back to that. So this is all about VNC. Really important that you take note of this, the port number, because different port numbers would can mean different instances of the same account or different accounts. So right now I can show, like, you can usually just do this, open terminal. This is my username, which is my roll number here, and the machine name, IBM server. This is the name of the machine. So this I opened from real VNC. So I open 23. If I open 24 here, so this is another VNC. So someone else is using this. And if I try to, I can show this. Same thing actually though, that uh, it is in my roll number and the same server. But you can have different instances of a single user. So you can have multiple VNCs for a single user. This also causes issues sometimes, uh, as in the VNC will crash and all this. At some point in the past, there used to be like 5 VNCs on my account, but all except one of them used to like crash every day. So it may not be a very reliable method to do this. There are better methods to access someone else's account as well that I'll come to. So whatever is happening here in this 24, port number 24, is independent of port number 23, right? So you can have multiple VNCs for a single account at a single server. There are things that there are things like you can have multiple VNCs at different servers as well. So this IP address that refers that uh, corresponds to what server you're using, and that I'll cover more in the how user accounts are arranged. Now, how do you access it from different uh, places? So that was your VNC. You can access it through RDP as well. For RDP, you don't need to install anything, at least on Windows. Till now, I haven't seen anything to use RDP on Android, iPad, or uh, Linux. There are things, but they aren't very like clean. On Windows, you can just press RDP. You can search for RDP. This is all like installed by default. Show options. So computer, that's the IP address you have to say. This I'll copy paste here, and the username, and things like this you can change. Use all my monitors. This I'll come back to what this means. Local resources. This, if your enemy is on your LAN, if you're in campus, better to keep it on the best quality. Okay. This also I'll come back to save as open. So you can just do connect, and you'll get this window. Full screen this window. That's when you'll okay. Oh, okay, yeah. So what happened is, display I set it to 4K, can do full screen. Yeah. Or you can choose a lower resolution as well. Okay. So this I'm accessing. It's actually a different server. I'll show that. Yeah. So this is same account E22 BTEC at Ser node 4. So it's a different server. Whereas the IP address is also different. So here I can run like whatever simulations I run, etc. They're on a completely different server, but the data is synced across all of them. And why you would prefer RDP over VNC or vice versa? It's that if you have a slower internet connection, you're using this over Wi-Fi or something, RDP is more reliable. At least I've seen, because the way it handles data is slightly different than VNC. VNC is more like you are watching like a YouTube live stream or something. You're getting the entire data for the screen. RDP is arranged so that it tells you data about the windows themselves, and that gets reconstructed. That's as far as I understand it. So this is more reliable, this is more responsive as well. And one like few things which I really care about is that, as I discussed earlier, the screen resolution. So there it's limited to 1080p and you can't really change it. If you want to change it, whoever gave you the VNC access, you'll have to ask them to restart the VNC with a different resolution, whatever resolution you need. If it's RDP, you just do full screen and it takes whatever resolution of your monitor is. And as you may have seen here, when you do RDP display, you can do this. Use all my monitors for the remote session. So if you have a dual monitor, triple monitor setup, so the RDP will extend across all of them. So if you're really working on a huge project or something, then it can be really helpful because you can use your machine Cadence with multiple monitors, two monitors, three monitors. So that is like unbeatable uh, pro for RDP. And once you have this, like your IP address, username, etc., and if you want to use all monitors, you want to keep it limited to some lower resolution, etc. Once all of these settings are there, you can do this save as and desktop. So you can just save that whole settings for a remote desktop. So I've already saved here Sir node if you see here. Uh, so I'll show how this works. So once you have saved this, you don't need to open RDP, tell your username and all this. You just double click on this. It's on my desktop and it opens directly. Once again, for a single account, a single server, this is a single instance of the server that you're accessing. So someone else can use the same IP address and the same password from their RDP. They can access this and they'll see everything that I'm seeing. One like small issue there is, no, not issue, but thing to take care about. Resolution of this RDP will be set according to whoever last logged into it. So if someone logs into it with a 1080p monitor, then the resolution of this guy will change. So, and if you're using multiple monitors, then that will get reduced to down to a single monitor if someone else accesses it. So there are like minor nitpicks like that. But this is a pretty good way to access your machine, and this is more reliable as well compared to VNC. One small thing about VNC is, let's suppose your VNC is not accessible. If I take some of these, they're just not accessible now. So it will just say connecting to this, and it just doesn't do anything. How do you know what's the issue? Is it a issue with your own internet, or is it a issue with the server, right? So you just open PowerShell or command line, whatever, and ping this guy. So this is not accessible, right? 192.168. Yeah, timed out waiting for response from the computer. 68, 16, 158. So even here, request timed out. It means that this server in specific is not accessible. I can just do something else. I can just ping Google here, right? And this is accessible. You're getting a reply in some milliseconds. We can do this other thing as well. This server which we were just using now, which is accessible. We can ping this, and you can see it's returning in less than a millisecond. Same thing for server node, you can check. So in case your VNC is not working, first action you can do is ping the IP address. If you ping it and you're seeing this, but the VNC is still not accessible, it means that the VNC has turned off. So you need to email the person who assigned you the VNC that the VNC has gone down. In case you are not able to ping it as well, it means that the server has gone down. So slightly different issues. So then again, you need to contact your like technical administrator, technical staff. And once you have this, you can, because if even like Google is not accessible, something could be issue with your internet, etc., etc. And okay, there could be other issues with the VNC license issues. They will be covered later when I discuss the Cadence part of it. So these are two ways to access your machine. There's a third way, which is called SSH. It is not really recommended to use this as I'm going to show now, but it can be helpful in some particular cases. So you need to have this guy, MOBA Xterm. You can download this from the internet. You can download a portable version, install a version, whatever. This I believe is not available in Linux because Linux by default has this command line. So whatever commands we are like sending here, ssh-x and all this, you can just directly do in a Linux command line. It will just work. So that's why in Windows you need this. So SSH, we want to access, let's suppose this RDP. How do you access it? So session SSH. In case you want to access your VNC, you don't need to specify this port number. You just need to specify your IP address. This much is required because you're accessing the machine itself. And in the machine, when you're accessing, you're saying, I want to log in with this username. Port number you don't need to change. These other things you don't need to change. In case it's not active, this you need to turn on X11 forwarding. So I believe this allows you to use like GUI things. So once you do this, password. Okay. So this is the same command line which you can see in the here. So here you are getting one terminal, right? So my username at sernode4, my username at sernode4. Yeah. So we are accessing this terminal here, and you can do print working directly, change to desktop. Yeah. So this is a completely different instance. Same account, same server, but this is a different instance. Whatever I do here will be independent of whatever I do here. I'll just check one thing. Okay, yeah. So I can do things here like Nautilus. So I can open Nautilus here. Nautilus is the file explorer in Linux. You can use other tools as well. Not really an issue. This specific server, I believe, has a issue with opening GUI windows. Like it takes a lot of time. Let's try with one more server. This one. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So here it opened. That's the issue with this server itself. With this RDP based server. Uh, yeah. So again, you can access your file explorer, etc. here, and one and you can launch Cadence from this. Everything you can do same as there. One good thing about this is this is my Windows, and you just get these uh, Windows directly, like this frame, right? This window frame for Nautilus. You just get this directly in Windows, and this is like the fastest way to access a machine. So, in terms of responsiveness and etc., this as well you can see this is the best one. But one major issue here is if your internet uh, goes out for even like a second, this connection will be lost and you will lose all these windows. If you're running some simulation, that simulation will get closed. Like the entire applications, etc., which were running, which you started from this guy, they will all be killed if you lose your internet connection. So this I wouldn't recommend to use in any like permanent way, no matter what you're doing. Even if you have a LAN connection, and even if you're using it through a desktop, I wouldn't really recommend this thing because you can lose internet connection for like a second and you lose all your progress. Yeah, in case it wasn't clear, that's not the case with the RDP and with your VNC. So you can close this if you lose access to it, whatever. You open it back up, it stays here. So yeah, this persistence there. There's no persistence here. You can fix this. There are, I believe it's called Termux. You can use that. I haven't personally tried it, but you can try to mitigate these things. Let's suppose you want. So the benefit of this guy is this guy. Let's suppose I wanted to download some file. This file I wanted to download. You can just download to your desktop, to your desktop, laptop, whatever. Uh, so this is extremely easy to download or upload files here. You can upload as well, right? So in case you have some files on your VNC, on your RDP, you want to download them or upload some files to it, this is the like best method to do it. You SSH to it and then upload or download. And it's a very clean method to do all this. And you can run commands as well if you want to like archive something, you want to uncompress something, whatever you uploaded, you want to check if that is correct. So those kinds of things you can do here in mobile XTerm through SSH. Other than that, I really wouldn't recommend doing anything more because you can really lose your data here. You can lose your progress here. Uh, One more small thing, in case you're opening anything, try to add a ampersand here so that in case you don't add a ampersand, usually like if you open Cadence or something, uh, the command line may get stuck there. If I try to if I try to write some file, I open this file one. So this command line is not accessible right now, right? So we can't really like do any more commands or try to open Nautilus here. If you close this, then you can access. Otherwise, if you do this ampersand, so the command line is still accessible. You can do other commands here, right? So one small thing there. So this is how do you access VNC RDP SSH. Now the final thing here, or like the best version of this, of using this, is SSH in RDP or SSH in VNC. So let's suppose I have this server, okay, uh, and I'm using this ser node. And let's say, for the sake of argument, ser node 4 someone else is using, it's like at 100% usage, and or not even that. Sorry, not even that. It's at 100% usage. You want to use some other server, but you don't want like that server's VNC is down or something. So what you can do is open terminal and do SSH dash X, the username here, and the IP address. What is the IP address for this guy? So 192.168.88.102. Yes. Yeah. So pay really close attention to what's happened here. Okay, I'll open another terminal. So this terminal is open in Sernode 4. I opened a terminal here in Sernode 4, did a SSH to this other server, and now the like title of this and the like command line here, it states I'm using this at IBM server. So if you start Cadence from here, run any simulations, they'll happen on the IBM server, not this. So this in fact leads us to uh, using other people's accounts. Let's suppose you're working on some project, the files are present, or you want to run some simulation with someone else's Cadence. So there everything is set up, the libraries are set up, and they're busy with their own VNC. So you don't have a VNC to access their machine. The simplest way to access their machine is, okay, yeah, you do this SSH X and their username. You use their username and their account, their machine, and you can access their machine as if your own. And one more important thing is all the cons of using SSH in mobile XTerm, they all get fixed if you use it like this, because the connection between this machine, the ser node, and IBM server shouldn't get broken. If that gets broken, then the SSH will fall. But right now, our connection to ser node, so this server, can break. But this internal connection, that IBM server to ser node, that won't break. And these are like servers which are kept in a lab and they're powered with a UPS. They're connected with LAN directly, like physically between them. So even if internet goes down, this won't go down, this SSH connection. So you start some simulation, that simulation takes 2 days, that can run reliably here. That you can't do if you do SSH through this mobile external. You'll have to keep your computer on for 2 days, and in that case, it's very likely your computer may fall asleep and the SSH connection will be gone. So this is the best method if you want to use someone else's account or even your account from some other server. So, like for example, I want to use my VNC server to run the simulations, but I want to use it through this RDP interface because the resolution, because the smoothness, etc. So this I can do this way. So this is what you call SSH in RDP or SSH in VNC, and this is what mostly people in the lab would use for like your industrial projects, etc. Because you have a single account which like 10, 20 different people are using for different purposes. So use something like this, and then you are not reliant on the VNC going down and then your work is stuck, etc. In case your VNC is on, you can use that. In case your VNC is down, you can use this. So there are multiple different methods. Whichever one is working, you can use it. uh, so I believe that covers everything about how to access a machine: VNC, RDP, SSH, SSH in VNC slash RDP. Now user accounts, this is not very complex. So right now you can see, right, this is my user account. I'll just, here as well I can just do, no, not less won't work here. Okay. So this is my entire home directory, right? Design BTech and my username. So everything that I've done here will be stored here, and the usual file structure is there. So desktop is there, uh, documents is there, downloads are there, etc. All of this file collectively is your user account, right? At the end of the day, this is not stored. So this is a bit of a background for how the servers are arranged. There are multiple servers that, like the IBM server is there, Node is there. All of them have their own drives, like the boot drive, which contains the OS, all this OS, Cadence, etc. One more thing is there, the data, so user accounts, right? So all of this, whatever designs I have made here, they are not kept in any server per se. They're kept in a NAS, so network attached storage, I believe. They're kept in a NAS and they can be accessed by any of the servers. So whenever I make any change here, and I am here in the ser node, if I make any change here, same thing will be visible in IBM server as well, and in any other server as well, through SSH, through RDP, everything else. It will be visible because the changes aren't being made in a server, they're being made in the NAS, in the collective storage of all this thing. So it's a bit of a distinction and a bit of a nuanced view of how the like storage is handled. This is extremely specific to the servers being assigned by right now Parmeshwari ma'am and Prasit sir. So all the servers which like Gajen sir students are using, and mostly for labs and all this, so they use this kind of structure. Server is a separate entity with its own storage. This is separate storage, and uh, this is accessed by all the servers at the same time. So there are some delays etc. associated with it, but it's not that significant. So these are the user accounts, and user accounts are very, what do you call, like powerless in the whole server. So if you want to do anything, so you usually think like in Linux sudo apt update upgrade, you can do all this, right? You can't do anything here. You're just a lowly user in the whole system. You don't have root access to any of it. You don't know the root password, etc. If you want something new, if you want to install some uh, like update the Python, update Perl, whatever, so you can't do it, and you are not allowed to do it as well. You need to ask the like server admin to do it. So right now that would be Parmeshwari ma'am or Prasit sir, whoever gave you access to the server. Only they can add things, uninstall things, change versions, all this. Even launch VNCs, so all these things. Only they can do it. Uh, but let's suppose you want MATLAB in your like your VNC, your machine. You can ask them and they can install. So that's the user accounts and file systems. File systems I go into some slightly more detail. So this is my like in design, right? The path. You can see the path by doing Control L. It shows the entire path here. So design BTech, this is my account. So if you check properties, free space is 97 GB. So I can have 97 GB more of design data, etc. Right? There's one more thing called sim data here. And sim data as well has all these folders. My thing is E22 BTech. So yeah, this thing. So there's a design folder and there's a sim data folder. And sim data is a separate NAS. And that you can check by this. So sim data has 783 GB free. Your design has 97 GB free. So in case you're running some simulation and your sim data has some error, you don't need to worry anything about the design, because design itself like uh, will take a very small amount of space. Mainly your sim data will take a huge amount of space. So in case you get some sim data error, you need to delete things here in sim data cadence E22 BTech. This path may change. I'll show how to change this path when the topics about cadence comes up. Uh, but make sure you don't use your design folder as a sim data folder, because sim data for a single simulation can go like 30 GB, 40 GB, and design data is like that NAS is not built for each person to have like 100 GB, 200 GB of sim data kept there. So that will cause issues for everyone. And if sim data gets full, uh, that has much bigger ramifications for simulations for everyone else compared to sim data being full. All that will cause issues. It will cause different kinds of issues. So always keep all your sim data in simulation results in not simulation results, simulation files in sim data, and your design stuff in this your whatever this home is there, right? Yeah. So that's your file systems, user accounts. How to transfer data? So one very basic method is you go into MobiXterm and some file if you want to download like cds.log, you can just download it, right? If you want to download an entire folder, because here you can download it, uh, it may be very slow if you want to download a folder this way. I would recommend if you want to download it, uh, either through this that you can do Nautilus here, right? So like let's suppose you want to download this. So first compress it right here at as zip or something, and once you have that zip then you download, rather than trying to download a file, because it may have a million files inside it, million files each of like 10 bytes. So each file will start download, stop download, it slows down things a lot. So you should compress them first, then download, then you can extract. uh, that will be more reliable as well in terms of your data being preserved, being correctly transferred, etc. So that's one thing. Compressing things, etc., you can do from here as well. So the same folders, right? So you can do from here. Uh, so that's how you transfer data. Even for uploading data, try to make a zip file or a tar xz or whatever, and then extract it in your machine. Don't try to upload files separately. If it's a single file, two files, then you can upload separately. uh, so that's transferring between your like Windows machine, your own machine, between, and this your like allotted machine, right? If you want to transfer data between, let's suppose, this machine and some other machine, how do you do that, right? So one very basic method is, I'll open another window. Let's suppose some design btech. Let's see someone's account. So mostly other people's accounts aren't accessible to you, right? So if you try to open it, it will just say that you don't have the permissions to it. For some people, uh, they have just been like kept open due to some previous things, or like this also is like accessible. So if you want to transfer data, you can do one thing. You can just copy paste here. That's one option. But for the most part, you won't be stuck in a situation where you have to transfer data between like this, uh, like from this guy to that guy. Wait, okay. So most of the times, you won't have to transfer data from this guy to that guy. You will have to transfer data between different machines which don't have this file system shared. So in that case, what you have to do is, uh, let's suppose I want to send this to be sorted to some other machine, to some other person. Okay. So best method is rsync arb. So rsync, that's the command. You want, you can get help for this here, or you can get help even on like on internet. So how rsync will help you is, you can read this entire thing. uh, I would recommend you to read it. But what it does is, so let's say you want to transfer some data which is present in some other user's account in some other server to your own account. So you'll have to do this rsync. This dash a is an option. Dash a would mean you want to archive things before you copy them. So the way I was seeing this now, you zip it, then transfer, and then unzip it. So rsync does this by default. uh, does this if you give this option dash a. I would recommend using arv. So r means recursive, v means verbose. So it will go through, if you specify any folder here like this directory, it will go through the entire directory, all the folders inside it, all the files. It will collect all of them, archive them, and then send it over. And v means verbose, so it will tell that this file has been transferred, the second file has been transferred, third file has been transferred. There are other options, other switches you can turn on to show you a progress bar, show you the transfer speed, all this. So there are different more options there, more switches there. So the same way you did SSH, right? You gave some username, in my case like E22BTech, at the like server, that IP address of the server, and then the path. This is absolute path, by the way. So this first slash is there, right? So let's suppose I wanted to transfer this whole thing I wanted to transfer. I'll show that. So okay, so I'll be like extremely okay. This is a bit involved, but in case you can follow it, let's see. So right now I'm trying to access I'm trying to access my account through the IBM server. We are right now in the RDP. So this is the ser node. So it's like I'm on a different server right now through SSH. Now I want to copy this whole directory. Otherwise leave it. Not whole directory. Okay. I'll do this scripts. So these three files are there. I'll copy them over to downloads. Okay. So how I'm like trying to show is uh, no, not this. Yeah. So I want to copy these three things, this whole folder, over to my downloads. So in downloads, I don't have any folder by this name, right? Scripts or something. So I want to copy this. In order to do this, rsync arv and now the account. So e22btech at what's the IP address of this guy? So right, 192.168.167.192. Okay, so this is the IP address. So I am doing rsync arv. This is the username at this server. Right now I'm in IBM server, so that is a different IP address. So it's basically like I'm transferring data between two different servers. Conceptually, that's what's happening here. And now the path. So this first slash means root. Then I can just copy this guy. Yeah. So design btech all the scripts. So if I put a slash here, it means everything inside the scripts. If I don't put a slash here, it means scripts and everything inside it. So this scripts will also get copied there. So rsync arv, the path, and the path, because it's on a different server, I'm specifying which server. And where do you copy it? I need to copy it to this guy, downloads. So because uh, the format is take things from this guy and copy it over to the second command, second argument that I'll write here. So the second argument is home slash downloads. Yeah. So in home slash, this tilde means home. So home slash downloads, and this will occur in this server, IBM server, and in this for this account. You can do another thing. I haven't personally tried it. Is uh, specify this kind of server for the address as well. Most probably you wouldn't do it. Like, why would you transfer between two different servers from a third server? But you can probably do it. I haven't tried it. I have never needed it, because you just access this guy from the server where you want to copy, or you're copying from. So copying from this guy, this is the location, this is the folder scripts. I want to copy to home slash downloads. So let's try. Now it will ask the password, because you are, what this effectively is doing is it does an SSH to this guy, goes to this guy, goes to this location, archives it, and then starts transferring. So that's why you need the password for this account as well. So you can't copy from someone else's account without knowing the password. Okay. What is this thing not working? Okay. Okay, yeah. I missed one thing. In my username, it was incorrect. So btech 11202. So because of that, this account doesn't exist on the server, right? So that's why even though I gave the correct password, there didn't exist an account by that name. That's why it failed. Let's see. Okay. So you see from here, receiving incremental file list, scripts, and these three things it sent. And speed up is all as it writes. So sent 85 bytes, received 14,000, total size 13. And I'll just refresh this guy. Right now, downloads, scripts, these three things got copied, right? Same, exact same method you can use for different, let's say someone else has design data on some other user account, some other server. You can use the exact same format. So this guy you just replace with whatever else, and this is your path. And you need to know the password or whatever user you're copying from. So there is one more command in case rsync is not available or something. There's scp. scp is a worse version of rsync as far as I've learned. Still you can use it. Previously we used to use it. uh, yeah, it's a bit slower as well. There's uh, some differences between rsync and scp, but internally they work pretty same. That you like the command structure. So in scp as well, this arv could be something different. How do you specify that you need it to be verbose and recursive and everything? But this structure remains same. That I believe in scp you can't specify a folder, you have to specify a file. So you need to first zip it, then scp it, and then extract it. So rsync saves that one step in the middle. And if you have files which are like 10 GB design data you want to transfer, so the zipping and unzipping, that itself will take some time. So that is much more streamlined if you do rsync. Yeah. So I would always recommend to use rsync. uh, so that finishes the like last second part, how to transfer data, rsync and scp. Health of a server. Yeah, these commands you should know. Cd and gedit, vi. Vi, if you don't know how to use vi, it's fine, but you should know how to edit a file if like the time comes for it. So let's suppose I have this. I want to look at this dsm sig, this file, right? So I can just do gedit dsm. uh, if you want to do this, like whatever files are present, you can do tab. So dsm is there, you do tab, so it autofills. Then I'll do test1 csv, so it opens this, right? It's a huge file, but yeah, you can open this through gedit. You can open this through vi as well. uh, Same thing as before, you should add the ampersand, otherwise your terminal can get stuck like this. If it gets stuck like this, you can do control c. uh, these commands are not very complex. Whenever you need it, you can ask ChatGPT, you can refer to like some manuals. In case you have the option, do the productivity tools in IC design course. It's a pretty good course which covers all of this, the commands, in great detail. Okay, so if you want to know the health of your server, how your server is doing, so you can do top. So it shows like the server has been running for how many days, how many users are there. That is all fine. You really don't care about how long the server has been running. What you care about is how much of the CPU is being used, right? So before I come to this, I'll show one command, ls cpu. Ls in general means it shows all the like files which are present. Ls cpu tells you about your processor, about your CPU. So in this server, this IBM server, right? It's a 32 CPUs, not really, of Xeon E5 2670, all this, right? Uh, 32, it does say here that there are 32 CPUs. Actually, threads per core is 2. So what's actually happened is, yeah, I'll go from the start. CPUs, the actual processor, the like IC that you put on your motherboard. So there are two of them because it says sockets, two. So two sockets, per socket there are 8 cores, right? So this means there are 16 cores, and per core there are two threads. In case you're not familiar with this, basically if you have you want to do some calculation, you want to do 5 plus 5, that will take one core to do this addition. Let's say you have 16 cores in your computer, so you can do 16 of these additions in parallel. So whatever frequency etc is there, number of cores increases how many things you can do in parallel. There's one more thing, that threads per core. So let's suppose you're running a simulation, you're running some C program which has this addition thing, and at the background you're also running this htop and all this. Like right now the computer is doing something, right? It is displaying this, all this. So usually the number of processes running on a computer would be a very high number. It would like thousands of processes are running. So each core will be handling multiple processes in parallel. So in a CPU, to organize that better, instead of having just one path for data to go and come out, you have two paths. Although there's just a single ALU, singular arithmetic core for it, there are two pathways for it, and you can switch between them faster, all this. So there are two threads per core. So that's why it says 32. All of this is too much detail for your CPU, but keep this in mind, there aren't 32 cores in your CPU, in your server. There are two threads per core, so that's why it's 16 cores. So if you have a 16 core server versus 64 core, so 64 core can run 4 times as many simulations. Not really, you can approximate it like that. I'll come back to this when the simulations will get discussed and how do you load balance all this. But there are 16 cores because two threads per core. It writes CPU here, but it's actually threads. So we have 16 cores here, and if we do top, so it says there's this user E22BTech. Okay, fine. So E22BTech something is using this much virtual memory and 6.6% of the CPU, and which command, genus command, is using it. So genus is that PD, I believe it's the synthesis thing. Yeah, synthesis tool from Cadence, and it has been running since 25 hours. 25 hours, believe, maybe, yeah. So all the users and how much CPU they're using, you can see here by doing top, right? And a lot of these processes are like root processes. In case you started some simulation but that is not working right now, something, you can do xkill, you can do kill and give the PID, the process ID for that guy. You can do that. Otherwise you can do xkill. In case, like, let's suppose I have this Nautilus and it's like not responding, you can do xkill and click on this window, it will kill that. So you don't need to know the process ID in that case. Otherwise you need to know the process ID. One more way to check how good your server is working is htop. Htop is not present here. I'll use some other, this guy. Maybe this has htop. Okay, even this doesn't have htop. uh, let's see, I'll show it in my own WSL then. What even happened here? Okay, there are like some other issues with my setup right now. HTOP is a better version of top. It shows this in a better way. It shows you in a graphical way how much of the CPU is being used. Uh, some of the old servers they don't have this. Yeah, and okay, serve node. Here you can see E24 MTech. Someone is there who is using Spectre. So Spectre is the simulator uh, in Virtuoso. So that is using 1500%, 1592%. So that is around 16 threads are being used, 8 cores. So 8 cores are being used for this Spectre. Then E23 BTEC, 100% of the CPU. 100% it's like half of the core is being used, and etc. You can see this way. And from LSCPU, okay, LSCPU, you know that this guy has how many cores? So it has 28 cores, 56 threads. So you can find out how much of the server is being used. Then LSCPU system monitor. There is one thing called system monitor. System tools, this utilities, system monitor. Okay. So this is a visual thing to check how much memory, how much network is being used. So yeah, and which processor taking how much of the CPU. This will only show you your own accounts processes. It won't show the other accounts because you can see the server is actually being used a bit, but the CPU is being used by us is 0%, right? File systems, etc. You can check here how much is being used. Then storage locations limits that I've already discussed in the file systems part. That sim data is different. There are some commands to find out which like where each thing is originating from. There are some commands for it. You even the amount of information that I've given in this video is extreme. You really don't need this much of information to use Cadence, but this is going to come handy when you're like trying to debug something at a Sunday afternoon or something. You can't really contact someone in the technical staff, so you can try to figure out things through the information that I've given here. So if push comes to shove, you need to run some simulation, sim data is full, you can run a simulation by changing it over to this other thing, uh, to a design folder. So you need to know, you need to have an idea about these things. So I believe that uh, this finishes the entire explanation about how to access your machine. This was a some 1 hour video. Okay. In the part one, this was part zero. In part one, I'll explain how do you launch Cadence and how do you change Cadence version, etc.